Java Week 4 coding assignment, working with arrays and methods. First, we programmatically subtracted the first value in an array from the last value in an array, accessing it with the length property -1 for the last and 0 for the first. Proving that it works with a second longer array as well. It does not depend on length. Then we use for loops to add all of the elements in an array together and then divide by the length to return the average. For an array of strings, to find the average of the word lengths or name lengths, use the length method on strings combined with the length property on arrays in order to determine the average of each name. Then again, using a for loop to concatenate all the names together, creating an array based on the names array, but this one is ints with the name lengths, again using the length method with strings. And then using a for loop over that new array in order to determine the average. Not the average. We didn't divide it here. It was only to determine the sum. Next, we moved into methods. The first method that we worked on was to take a string and an int and concatenate the word with itself as many times as the number. I used a for loop, however, I contained it within an if statement to double check that the number was positive. And then return the result, which in this case was hello, hello, hello. Next, create full name. I just simply did everything in the return line, first name plus a space plus last name. With the first name Sam and last name Vines, it returns Sam Vines with a space in between. Method 9 takes an array of integers. I used ages for this when I called it and printed it. Uses, as we did above, for loop to add to the sum. And then in the return line, use the statement sum is greater than 100 to return the Boolean, in this case true. For method 10, I used, again, a for loop for sum, and in the return line divided it by the length of the double array in order to return the average, 7.20, for repeating. For method 11, we were asked to compare the average of two double arrays and return true if the first is larger than the second. Rather than rewriting my code, I just called find average for each one of the double variables here, and then compared in the return line. In this case, the first nums1 had a higher average than the second one. Method 12 uses a Boolean and a double. If the Boolean is true and the double is greater than 10.50, it will return true. However, since I used false as the Boolean, it instead returns false as one of the elements is false. Method 13, I decided to use my double array that I'd created earlier and named prices, and to determine sale prices based on a double entered when it was called. Used a for loop to iterate over the double array and add them to the new double array, which is the same length. I used a second for loop in order to round it so that it would look more like monetary values instead of many repeating decimals. And those are my answers for the week 4 Java assignment.